how do we embed agile values and principles in a morally bankrupt or morally ambiguous work environment? We've all done it, right? We've all seen The Great Job. I've done it. The pay's good. The organization seems good. And you go and work there. And then you find out that perhaps it's not as shiny as it first seemed. And this is the biggest challenge you'll have in your professional career when the organization's values do not align to yours. It can be very distressing. It can give you rise to self-doubt. It can tap your confidence. It can affect you financially. And it can give you huge amounts of stress. So we take the job, like the reason we all take jobs is so that we can provide for our families, so that we can provide for us, so that we can pay our rent, have somewhere to live, and do stuff that we like to do. Sometimes it's going to be very, very attractive because of terms, conditions, pay, whatever. So the first thing we need to really do is do our research before we go into somewhere. So use tools like Glassdoor. See if anyone in your network knows about the place. Check the reputation. Now, sometimes it might be okay to take a short-term gig in somewhere you know there's going to be a hard ride. That's your call. Now, I would suggest that morality and ethics is really strongly linked to good agile behavior. It will be very hard to be truly agile in terms of the people sense, not the fast feedback loops to the market, because I think the most adaptive organizations in the world are those of organized crime. And they're incredibly responsive. You have a look at how fast the phishing and the scams and all those things are. Like, they're very adaptive, but they don't live the agile values, and they don't live the essence of agile. They're very good at product and innovation and marketing and stuff like that. Not ethical, not moral. And that should, some people might be able to sleep at night stealing other people's money. I wouldn't. Now, the agile values are focused on people, thinking of the impact upon our consumer, our customer, and our colleagues. Now, if our work environment is delivering a subpar experience to our customers, to our colleagues, then that creates an ethical dilemma. And it's really terrible that we see this actually institutionalized, sometimes in some government departments. I've mentioned it before, Australia's robo-debt scandal, the UK's post office scandal. We've seen it at large companies where, for instance, the Ford Pinto and Dodge, the Volkswagen scandal, the Panama Papers. There's loads of examples of very poor ethical behavior in business. Is it possible to live the agile values truly without a moral foundation, a differentiation of what's right and wrong? I would suggest at a product level, yes, but at a human level, no. And I think this is where we need to, first of all, find what your values are. Do an exercise to determine your core values and lean into them, and be very clear about what your red lines are. Because there will be a time you may need to compromise so that you can pay your rent. And this is admirable, acceptable, but very dangerous, because bad stuff happens when people turn a blind eye. It's not my problem. I can't change this. And this is where we need to live the Stoic principles of integrity, discipline, respect, focus, making the world a better place for other people to live in. How do you work when you find or identify that the organization you're in isn't what was sold as? Well, how do you drain a swamp? Like one bucket of water at a time. And you have to be and represent that light, that positivity. Look for the positive, be the change agent, the catalyst, and help other people around you identify an internal moral compass and then get aligned to it. Now, ultimately, if it is impossible to achieve that alignment, you need to find an exit strategy. And so I have some red lines, and ultimately I have moved on from clients. And the decision boiled down to basically, you're wasting my time and your money. And that's not ethical. Because if people engage me, they want to change. So if they're not going to listen to my advice, if they're not going to accept the mentoring, if they're not going to take the coaching, and they just want me there as agile window dressing, yeah, that's not my jam. I'm out of there. What's your red line? What are you willing to compromise for challenging your values? Is it worth the cost to your health and integrity? What will it take you to think about moving somewhere else? Answer those questions and you can resolve the situation.